left, it's the third week, and so on. So you can tell by just looking up, it's like a digital display for mankind, okay? So that's easily measurable. And whether you know it's exactly the day and night for the equinox, it's a little harder to measure. Not everyone can do it. The royalty and the scientists that are working for the kings can do it, but not everyone can do it. This helps you align it. And it's largely religious, renewal of rebirth, the moon disappearing, coming back, the new moon. So the gods are good for us, and now we can grow. So those two, were leveraged, those two, and what's called, in scientific terms, is lunisolar calendar. So there's solar calendars, there are lunar calendars, and there's lunisolar calendars. So this year, the equinox actually happens on March 20th. The new moon, the first new moon, believe it or not, is happening on April 1st, Chab Nisan. That doesn't happen every year. This year, the new moon actually happens on Chab Nisan, okay? So if we use these customs, the most records we have from the Assyrians, it's the first moon after the equinox. It's after March 20th. The first one that happens is April 1st. And that's the calendar you can see when it starts showing up on the 1st of April. So are we special in doing this? Do Assyrians using this lunisolar and new moon special? So here's a list. Who uses a lunisolar calendar? Assyrians, Jews, Hindus, Jain, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Vietnamese. You can see the list goes on and on. Solar, purely solar. Egyptians use solar. For a while, the Egyptians actually used a very unique calendar, not solar, not lunar. They use it based on the Nile, and when the Nile overflows, but eventually became solar. Julius Caesar, which we'll talk about, who created a lot of problems for calendars. Persians, Greeks, and Gregorian, the Gregorian calendar that we use today. Okay, so use purely solar. Now, this is argued. As I did a bit of research after Rachel kindly asked me to talk about this. So today, the Gregorian calendar and the Julian calendar, some argue that even those are lunisolar calendar. Why? Because some dates, some holidays do move around, like Easter. So since they have ones that move around, they are connected to the lunar calendar. Therefore, there also, some classify them. So if you go and search Wikipedia, Google, you name it, Encyclopedia Britannica, you'll see sometimes the Gregorian and Julian are also shown as lunisolar calendar. And finally, lunar calendar is the Hijri calendar, the Islamic calendar. That's basically lunar, and that moves around. So certain dates move around over the years. Okay? So, first, springtime was the most popular New Year date worldwide. Throughout times, the millennia, this is the common date that was very popular. And is the Assyrian New Year very special to us? No, not really. Others also use the spring as the New Year. So just to put it in perspective, this bar shows how long we've been celebrating the New Year based around the equinox time, Rish Nisan. So the way we use it is based on the first temple of Ashur. Once they first recorded temple of Ashur that was developed is when you have ceremonies, and that's the belief that that's when the first festivals of New Year's were celebrated, 4750 BC, and we're in 2022, so you add the two, and that's how you get to 6772. Okay? So 4750, foundation of the temple of Ashur. Today we're in 2022. Now, believe it or not, the January 1st that we use today for New Year is less than 300 years old when it became widely adopted. It was adopted in some pockets, but widely adopted, it's less than 300 years old, including in the US. The 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, it was not based on this calendar that we use today. So I'll give you some background. Why January 1st? When did it come? The first time it was brought forward was 46 BC by Julius Caesar. So he's changed it to January 1st. Why January 1st? One of the gods, one of the pagan gods of the Roman Empire was Janus. January is named after Janus. So Janus was that's a picture of Janus. He's a good-looking guy. 2 heads, depending which way you look. But he had 2 heads. He was a god of doors. One door closes, another door opens. The older one looking at the past, the new one looking at the future. So it's a new beginning, a new door opening. And if you're kind to him and you give sacrifices, the other gods will like you, and it'll be a good year. So he said, let's change it to January 1st, based on the pagan god Janus. That's the Julian calendar. The problem with the Julian calendar is it was not accurate enough. He had Greek scientists and astronomers and astrologers help him out. It was a little too long. So it was 11 minutes too long. So every 128 years, you're 1 day behind. Every 128 years, it had this leap year and all that, but instead of being 365 days and a quarter, so every 4 years you get a leap year, it was more than a quarter, slightly more, that every 128 years, you're 1 day behind, which doesn't seem like a lot, but this is 46 BC. Whoever used a Julian calendar is a year behind over the centuries. You come to now, they're many days behind. So they have this issue on their hand. Everybody's like, we know it's behind. Should we change it? Should we not? Till they couldn't handle it anymore. And that's when the Gregorian calendar came in, which I'll talk about later. But this caused a problem. So people realized this even back then. So largely, it wasn't really adopted. Politically, it was adopted because no one wants to anger Julius Caesar. But the civil and legal years, they still wrote the years based on around March 25th. And this got further strengthened after Christianity because they tied it to a Christian holiday of the Annunciation. Okay? So they said, and also it's tied to Christianity, March 25th. So people continued doing March, whether it's March 20th in some parts of the world, they're following solar, whether it's Europe where it's more March 25th, Assyrians with Rish Nisan in that time frame. But largely, this is what was used. And there are many records of that. So then January 1st it was kind of a fail. Okay? So now we come January 1st, take 2. Now we're going to get it right this time. So in 1563, there was a Council of Trent. This painting of Council of Trent. It was in Trento, Italy. The Roman Catholic Church got together and said, we have to respond to the heretics of the Protestants. Okay? Remember, the 1500 brought all the Reformationist churches, Bible-based churches, what's all these old customs, and this was going to put a stop to it. Many things were declared during the Council of Trent, but one of them is, let's fix this Julian calendar. Julian, it's very national affinity of Italy, Roman Empire. It's still those historical thoughts to tie them to old roots, but let's fix it. And that's where the Gregorian calendar came to being, which I will touch upon a little later. But they said, we got to fix it. It's January 1st. Everyone used January 1st. Obviously, the Catholic kings absolutely will take it on. I mean, they're all Catholic. The Roman Catholic Church said so. So King Charles of France, in 1564, a year after, came up with an edict, a rule. Thou shall, it's called Edict of Rosalind. And it's, you have to use January 1st. Told the whole France, you have to use it. Which the Catholic countries, of course, went with it. Protestants said, no, I don't see why I should follow the Catholic Church. I'm not doing it. So like England, for example, Ireland, didn't feel that they need to. They continued in March, April, similar to Assyrians. Okay, spring makes more sense. Springtime, snow melts, I can go farm, equinox, everything lines up. So at that time, the French pushed this idea that anyone that doesn't follow the new calendar is a fool, is an idiot. He's not following the times. So they had this thing that's apparently celebrated till today called Poisson d'Avril, the fish of April. Fish is gullible, easily caught, so they go around, pat you on the back, and they have a little sticker of a fish or kick me, and people will come and kick you. April Fools. They send invitations. So they'd send invitations to Irish people to come to so-and-so. The King of France is inviting you to a New Year party in March. So these guys make a travel. The king invited us to a New Year party. They make it there. There's nothing. There's a sign, you're a fool. So they push them to insulting people, embarrassing them to change quickly. That caused a lot of people to change very quickly. Okay? So the Poisson d'Avril created this April Fool's Day. Okay? Now, again, this whole problem with Julian calendar, January 1st, fine, but it still is error prone, has this error in it. So Pope Gregory the 13th said, let's fix the Julian calendar. Let's shorten it a little bit. It's a third decimal point. So those 11 minutes are back in. Now we're good. So that brought the Gregorian calendar that we use today. Okay? So it's 365 days and a quarter. Why a quarter? Because you have the leap year, it's every 4 years and all that. So now we're all good. Everybody please use it. Well, it's still coming from the Roman Catholic Church. So all those that are Protestant said, no, I'm not following it. I'm staying with mine. I don't see a reason to change. Even though it's accurate, I don't have to look at the moon. Do I change? Do I not? Keep in mind, a lot of the world, Asia, India, and others still are lunisolar, and they continue doing their thing. So how about the US? And when did England and the US start adopting it? So I don't know if you see this picture. This is actually from the almanac, the US almanac. That's the month of September. Do you guys see anything weird about the month of September? It's got like 2 weeks and 4 days. So it had Tuesday, the 1st of September, Wednesday, the 2nd of September, Thursday, the 14th of September. 11 days disappeared. That's correcting for Julius Caesar. Okay? So when they corrected it, it wasn't an easy change because, okay, everybody's calendar, all the financial transactions, if someone had a debt and they had to pay it off, how many days are left, it's a big deal. So they created this multi-step approach. So December 31st, 1750 was followed by January 1st, 1750. It's still 1750. Why? Because January is another month of the year, because the end of the year doesn't happen in January. It happens in March, keep in mind. So it's just the 10th month of the year, January. They were still on our calendar. This is the US, as well as England, as well as Ireland. March 24th, 1750 goes to March 25th, 1751, New Year. So that's still, and it's called Old Style, or you'll see in the records, OS. It's Old Style, like the Assyrians, okay? December 31st, 1751 is followed by January 1st, 1752. Now we're on the new style. That's when it really became January. So they had to do it by steps. And then in September, they decided to do this fix on the Julian calendar, Julius Caesar era. To fix it, they got rid of the 11 days. They went from September 2nd to September 14th, like that picture. Now we're all good. And in 1752, finally, the US, UK, Ireland was on board with January 1st. And that's when it became widely adopted. So it's less than 300 years old. So when you look at ours, 6,772, keep in mind what we're celebrating today worldwide is relatively new. So this is interesting. This is a marriage contract in Connecticut. And the date is September 1752. September 17th, 1752, NS, New Style. Keep in mind, there's Old Style, New Style. So because people were still in the transition. So you got married. When did you get married? On the New Style. So just to show you that this is relatively new. Okay, so takeaways. First, Assyrian New Year shares many parallels with other cultures worldwide. The whole spring festival, the equinox, Easter, St. Patrick's Day also, if you look at a lot of history on St. Patrick's Day, they'll tell you it's parallel with the old calendar, the old style. In many ways, springtime lends itself more naturally for a new year than January 1st. If you look at around you and you look in December versus January 1st, there's not much that changes. While during the equinox, certainly you can see a lot of changes around the world. And Assyrians have celebrated this year for over 6 millennia. They do plan to continue to celebrate it and promote it for at least another 6,772, as you can see in the pictures here, from ancient times to modern times. So first, Happy New Year, everyone, and I wish you a great 6,772. That's all I had. Thank you very much. I hope it was fun. I do, before I give the stage, I do want to give a quick plug. One of our community members, Sherby, who's here with us, I just found this out. I was on a plane and I saw that she has published a new book on the Assyrian New Year, which is really great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. So I hope every one of you gets a few of them, give them to your friends and family, and let's get that wonderful book. Thank you again for it. All right. Let me put that.
This information indeed was new to me. Sure, it is new to many. So thank you so much for all this valuable information. At this point, I would like to invite Supervisor Otoli from District 3 from Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors to join us on the stage for his remarks. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, Sean Malakam, and really an honor to be speaking with you and actually inviting everybody here today for this amazing Syrian flag raising ceremony again. We've been doing this for 18 years now in Santa Clara County, started with Supervisor Pete McHugh. Supervisor Dave Cortese, my predecessor, has continued, and I'm also, of course, honored to be continuing this really important tradition to raise this flag. First of all, I want to say good afternoon. Thank you, everybody who came out today to this event. And I, of course, want to say special thanks to Rochelle Yosefian, again, from the Assyrian American Association of San Jose for coordinating this event here at the county. And, of course, thank my staff, Tevu Nguyen, who has been always coordinating this for many, many years. So thank you for all your great work to make this happen today. Last year was our actually very first public event that we held, was the flag raising of the Assyrian flag. And of course, being the first event, what I mean by that is after COVID, we haven't been able to do any events indoor or outdoor. So that was actually our first outdoor event that we did, and that was very successful, able to get the flag to fly high up on our county building. And this year we were actually able to even do it indoor, thanks to the great work of everybody getting the vaccinations. Our county is now over 90% vaccinated. And I believe in the Syrian American community, I think that number is way higher than 95% even. So you got an A+ for that. So thank you for getting people doing that. And now we don't even need to wear masks. You can still wear it, it's optional, but certainly it's no longer required because we have done so well. And I would just say thank you for all of the sacrifices everybody has done in the past few years. The Assyrian community is a beautiful community partner for our county, and we have a large and vibrant population that observes the Assyrian New Year. As we say, Kabab Nisan, yes, am I getting close to that? And by its Babylonian name Akitu on the spring equinox. This year marked on today, March 20th, 2022. And I'm very honored to listen to the lecture today, to learn a lot about the calendar, which we just took as granted, and see the differences between the solar calendar, the lunar calendar. So I certainly learned a lot today myself. And the spring equinox being celebrated in 12 days with parades and symbol of rebirth, life, hope, and order. And the Assyrian American community throughout our Santa Clara County holds this ancient tradition with celebrations involving parades and parties held by which add to the uniqueness and vibrancy of our county, of course. However, with the current situation that we see in Ukraine, in Kiev, and so many cities there, I certainly want to let you know that we, right here in Santa Clara County, stand united with the international communities and condemn those brutal and senseless violence inflicted upon the Ukrainian people. And many Assyrian people, as you mentioned, also live in Ukraine, sharing the same suffering. This attack has been going on for more than 3 weeks. Thousands have died, and definitely millions have been displaced now as refugees. Having served a year in Iraq in 2009 myself in Baghdad, which of course is the land of Assyria, I have also survived the bombs and the closest attack, which was 90 feet from me, of a rockets attack. And I get to see what's going on, and I know and really see the suffering of those who are in Ukraine today. The fight for democracy, for freedom, against fascism, against autocratic leaders, to tell the truth, and freedom of press is still so important today, and we shall never, ever take that for granted. And I would like to ask everyone to have a moment of silence to ask God to heal and bless those who suffer from this tragedy. Thank you. And I now would like to read a couple of we call whereases for the proclamation that has been signed by the board of all the supervisors from Santa Clara County. Whereas the Assyrians are one of the oldest civilizations known to mankind, spanning nearly 7 millennia, and trace origins to a cradle civilization, Mesopotamia, located in parts of today's Iran, Iraq, Syria, Turkey. Assyria was named after its original capital, the ancient city of Ashur, which dates to circa 4750 BC. And that whereas Assyrians in Santa Clara County will hold an Assyrian flag raising ceremony in honor of this national identity in the new year on today, March 20th, 2022, at the county government center. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Santa Clara does hereby proclaim March 20th, 2022 as the Assyrian National Day, Assyrian New Year 6772. Congratulations. Rochelle, would you like to come up and receive this, and we'll take some pictures?
Supervisor Atoli.
Thank you.
This year it was a collaboration among several Assyrian organizations in the area, so I would like to ask representative of each organization to please join us in accepting this proclamation. Please,
Please.
Besmalochum. Thank you.
Do you want to take the picture in front or back here? In front? Which will be the best? Please tell me. For the photo purposes.
For the photo, we can stand one in the back, and then we can go in the front on two sides.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
So you do the lead now. I'll follow you.
Okay.
Okay.
You know what?
Sure.
Let's go in the front first.
In front
while
first?
you're
Okay.
presenting.
Okay, good.
Okay.
All right. Please, stop, please.
Okay.
Okay.
Pardon, Nala. Hey,
Yes, come on. Yes, please.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Okay. Yes, come on in. Yes, come on. Yes.
Please taking the picture.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias. Gracias. No, okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes,
Supervisor.
it's really an honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Democrats of the area,
Oh,
Assyrian
good.
Democratic
Thank you.
Movement,
Movement, yes.
Assyrian Universal Alliance,
Thank you.
Assyrian Catholics of San Jose,
Likewise. Thanks.
and Assyrian Aid Society,
Thank you very much.
and several other organizations that are
Yes.
collaborators, but today was Sunday and a lot of them had other unfortunate situations that they could not attend, but they are supporting us in spirit. And
That's great.
thank you very much again
Thank you very much for
sponsoring this day,
It's our
for
honor,
bringing the
absolutely.
awareness and
Yes.
acknowledging this day within the Santa Clara County as a series. You mentioned Vita Clara, but also it's important for our community to be recognized. And thank you for being an advocate in doing
Thank
that.
you. It's truly my
And also
honor.
for serving in land of Assyria.
That's Syria, that's right. Thank you again. Thank you.
again.
City Council with Oyani about the proclamation and due by Sheriff Council after the name. So the car who have dead on a April, Zuya Chita Heta with Abi, City Hall, yes, sooner isn't at the credit of the Shavira, with Abinan Pegmas yet in the city with Sheriki Omar or on to pass.